Hi again, Mark Nickerson, East Lyme First Selectman. Welcome to another edition of Issues and Answers, where we get together every couple of weeks or so and introduce you to somebody in town or talk about some issues going on, give you some answers. That's how it works. That's why we named the show that. A few things going on in town in East Lyme. There's a referendum coming up on the school building renovation project. And at this point in time, legally, we're not supposed to advocate for a position, telling you how to vote. Vote yes, vote no, and this is why, and give you reasons to vote one way or another. But I can give you facts, and that's the legal side that I can do, which is March 14th, there'll be a referendum that every taxpayer in town, over $1,000 of assessed value, I think, and of course every homeowner, every registered voter can come out and vote. Everyone will come to the community center. All districts, District 1, 2, and 3, will be at the community center. Nobody will vote at the high school. And the referendum will be for to approve or not a $37.5 million renovation project for the 3 elementary schools. If you remember, there was one attempt at a project a couple of years ago that would have built a new school and renovated another school fully, and that would have been $85 million total cost, probably $65 to $58 million. They kept on moving the numbers around. But that project had been shelved. It was determined that we would need 3 operating schools based on some demographics in town. I'm here to tell you that $37 million includes an estimated high interest rate, just in case the interest rates go up significantly, and we know they are on the rise if you read the paper or talk to a broker, but probably won't double, and we've actually accounted for the interest rates to double in the next couple of years. It includes a high contingency, and it also includes a $5 million state reimbursement. So the actual project to the town's taxpayers at the end of the project will be between $28 million and $30 million. But we have to go to referendum for the full package, which would be about $37.5 million. That's what the number will say when you go to vote on March 14th. That's a Tuesday. The polls will be open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you have information, if you have questions, issues, we can give you answers. You can give my office a call. 691-4110 is my office, or call the superintendent's office, or go to their website. I think they have all the drawings up and what all the changes are and what the renovation projects will be. The project will surround itself with taking Flanders, Niantic Center, and Lily B. Haynes, and putting about $10 million in each building. Cosmetics for sure, but also windows. A lot of windows don't operate in the schools. HVAC, which means air conditioning and heating units being changed out, so there's a good circulation of air, etc. And safety issues, entrances to the building, and that they're safe. And new standards have been set since the tragedy in Newtown at Sandy Hook Elementary that make us look at some of what's going on here. We have safe schools, and we have done everything we can to protect our children. But can we design a school a little bit better for the future? Yes, we can. And you can decide on March 14th on this project. Again, about a $30 million hit to the taxpayers. Over 20 years, that should be about $1 million increase on average. These are facts. About if you take 20 years in that project, it's $0.97 million increase, which would be about $400 to the average taxpayer. If you have a higher valued home, you'd pay more than $400 on average. A lower valued home, less than the average, you'd pay less. Again, I cannot advocate, I can't tell you how to vote. I can tell you this project had been vetted out for a number of years through different configurations, and a design steering committee made up of different people in town, citizens, members of different commissions, of course the architect and engineers all got together, and they've come up with this plan. There is a list of what the intended renovations will be, because each school has a different need as well. Flanders needs a new roof. They need a new roof anyway. Lily B. Haynes, there's a really weird configuration of the pavement and the bus loop and the parent drop-off loop at the beginning. We're going to kind of change the front of that building. And Niantic Center has a desperate need in their gym where the windows are about to fall out of the walls there. And also it's not handicap accessible, which it should be for a public space. So those are the kind of changes we're going to be making. And of course, all the other things that I've listed. Again, March 14th. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends to come out and please vote. This is a time where people are getting very, very vocal and very interested in national politics. But in our town, we see less and less people coming out for referendums and budget referendums, which will be the third Thursday in May, by the way. And we're still working on our budget right now, and more will be revealed and be communicated as time comes on. So come out and vote. Please tell your friends. Please call my office or reach me by email. And if you have any questions, we want to be forthright and give you all the facts, so you go out and vote as an informed voter. That's always important. I have a guest today, believe it or not. It has nothing to do with the schools, but I wanted to get that message out to you. March 14th, it's a Tuesday, 8 to 8 at Community Center. My guest today is going to talk about the police and the independent police force that we are working diligently on. My guest is Dan Price, former selectman in town. Wow. Kind of brought me along into politics, and that's a story we could spend 2 hours on. And he's an artist. Many of you know that he's an artist, and he paints a lot of great scenes, but focuses on submarine and military art, and also all the lighthouse prints you see around town and in different office buildings in southeastern Connecticut. That's all done by this guy. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And the reason why you're here today is not because you're an artist, not because you're my friend of 20 plus years and a former selectman, and not because you sell advertising for WBMW and that group over there, and you're very good at that, by the way, but because you're also...
talk about next year.
my ad budget. We can't actually do that right now. Sorry. We got to talk about the police, and you're chairman of the police commission.
I am.
Yeah. So how's that been so far?
Well, so far it's been quiet. I mean, we're just ramping up in the process. We're searching for a chief. We closed out on Friday our applicant search. We got a number of really good quality candidates that we have been going through. We're working with the state police chiefs union, not union, but association, and they're going to help us with the interview process and going through the chiefs and helping us decide who we want to have run the department.
The success of going independent really depends on the first chief coming in and find the right man or woman for the job. I think we had 19 applicants, and yes. I'd say 90% of them are as qualified as they need to be or overqualified.
Oh, sure. We got some great applicants, and the first chief is going to be so critical because it's not just running the police department, it's transitioning from the state resident trooper program. There's going to be a lot of administrative end, a lot of just coordinating the guys and getting our department up and running on its own, independent of the state. It's a big job, and we need the absolute right person for it, no question about it.
Yeah, it sure is. It's setting the policy, procedure, the precedent, if you will, that will carry through generations of police chiefs and departments and personnel.
And in that, it's a great opportunity for somebody because they literally are going to, it's like a sculpture. They're going to develop this department in their vision and have a free hand in it. Any other chief that gets hired in any other department is coming in after a long list of other people have already put their thumbprint on it. Whoever this person is going to have a great opportunity. So
a blank slate, we'd say?
We would say.
What is it that you paint?
Blank piece of watercolor paper and a big brush.
And brushes and paint, and you go, well said. I had to point that out. There was a pun in there somewhere. Dan the artist.
It's an exciting process, though, and it's really starting to move along quickly now. And it's, like I said, it's very exciting to read these resumes and think of the potential these people have to offer to the town. It's great.
So an important decision. finding out of 19 applications the right person. And you mentioned the Connecticut Chief Police Association, which is a group of chiefs from all around the state, and of course they have an association to get together and they share best practices and also help communities like ours choose new police chiefs. But tell me about the police commission. It's made up of, there are people from our community that are representing us. There are 7 of them. I'm one of them. You're one of them. There's 5 others. And these are people from all walks of life who are bringing different expertise to the table.
It's an interesting commission. We're a great group of people. It's 7 very smart people who all we have 2 ex-state police officers. We have 1 ex-Secret Service agent who we often want to just have him tell us stories about, because he's done presidential details. I mean, he's really impressive, some of his stories. We have a current National Guard, I think he's a major. He's probably the youngest in the group, and he brings a great perspective that, and then we have 1 other civilian who is a former selectman in town and actually works up in Hartford now for a legal firm.
Mark Powers.
Mark Powers, right.
I guess we can name them all, but Mark Powers is a good dude and very well respected in our community. Former state senator and now I guess you would call him a lobbyist.
Yeah.
I guess that's what they are. But a man about town, but again, well respected and also knows the process and how things should go, and has brought his flavor to the table too.
It's interesting because Giancarlo will bring his military perspective. Joe and Tony will bring years and years in the state police, and Joe is actually, I believe, a Marine general when he retired. So, like I said, it's a lot of great experience coming together to bring, and it's so important with this one person. So.
Right, and then you mentioned Tom Gardner, who is
the
former Secret Service, and we are blessed as a community to have so many people who step up and volunteer their services, and this is. Different commissions from all over, and it could be the Council on Aging, and it can be the Youth Services Commission, and it can be the Library Board, and here we are, the Police Commission, a very important move in the history of our town. I mean, we've been trying this for a long time, but we've had state police under our direction for 50 plus years, and here we are moving to an independent force, and it doesn't seem like it's a big deal, and it really isn't. At the end of the day, we're going to be just as protected, probably with some better service and better efficiencies and certainly better accountability, and so therefore better policing. But here we are with. I'll take myself out of it, but 6 gentlemen. I'm the first selectman. I'm around a lot, but I get paid to do the job I do.
Ubiquitous.
But 6 volunteers who are just stepping up their time, but their incredible talent to come together and give something back to the town that they love, they serve, they've raised their children in, or are currently raising their children in. And for me, I tell that story, and I always get a little weak. It's inspiring. Yeah. It really is. It brings a little tickle in my throat, if you will. I see it every day. Every day I walk around this town, and I see people just doing something and giving back. It's amazing.
It's a great town. My wife and I have been there for 30 years. We love it, and I've been interested in having us go to our own police department for a long time. So when the opportunity came up to actually help do this, I was very excited about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big thing, and the guys are ready. We're ready as a town, to be on our own, and frankly, service will be better. I think.
So before I segue to the next police question, let's talk about Dan. Because, Dan, you talked me into volunteering for the town.
I did. I can remember that.
18 years ago, we were sitting around. It was late at night, and Mark, you should do something. And here I had little kids at the time, and I said, yeah, I kind of want to put my roots in here. This is the place I want to be forever. I want to live in this house, and I want to live in this community. And you showed me the way, and I appreciate. I can publicly say I appreciate what you have done for me. And let's talk about your service. You were a selectman.
I was on the board of selectmen for a number of years. I was on zoning before that.
Yeah.
I probably put in about 10 or 12 years on different commissions and stuff. And then
And the town was moving and shaking back then too. There was a lot of
lot
growth.
going
There was a
on.
lot of decisions to be made. It was during Wayne Fraser's term, and
We had garbage bags back then.
Garbage.
The infamous
Dan
garbage
was
bags.
responsible for helping get rid of the garbage bags.
But we transitioned to the new trucks with the new cans, which saved us a ton of money. I mean, there were a lot of decisions to be made. There always are. The town's always moving. You have the same thing going on now.
We
just
do
differently.
but there was, I think, the middle school was built during your time
Yes,
period. So
it was.
here I am going through this transition with the elementary school. Not that it's on me; it's on the superintendent and his board of education. But
It's a long process. Involved
big decisions.
Yeah, exactly.
And lots of work.
And like you said, it impacts the town. I mean, $400 is $400.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
But at the same time, the benefit to the education system and to the children in town makes it worth it.
Yeah, our schools are great, and again, I'm not going to go down the advocacy road today. My last episode, of this show, I could do that, but we're in the legal time frame where I can't really talk about that. We'll all agree, everyone in town will agree, we have great schools.
Yes.
And it's important to make sure that we don't need to keep up with the Joneses necessarily. We don't have to look at the next town and see how shiny their school is. But we do have to make sure that the kids are going into a building that is safe, secure, and quality, and that professional services can be rendered. And the voters will decide whether this is the plan for that or not on
Absolutely.
March 14th. Don't forget.
Vote.
So let's go back to the Police Commission, of which you are chair, and what an honor that is, I'm sure.
It really is.
After we choose it is. I don't want to cut you off on that.
No, it is an honor, and it's a big weight sometimes because it's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
Especially this first chief and the initial transition. It's a big deal for the town.
So weight, W-E-I-G-H-T.
Yes.
And I was thinking you meant W-A-I-T because there's been this waiting period too where we have gone through the process of the credentials of what a police chief should be and the characteristics and job description, etc. And now we put it out for people to submit, and we're down to the end of that. And here we go. We're about to
now we're about hit the gas.
Hit
Absolutely.
the gas and
no
go.
question about it.
We're going to get that chief, and then we're going to get serve notice to the state that we wish to go independent, and off we go. And maybe around May 1st, we're hoping around May 1st. It's a wishful day. We originally said April 1st, but I think that was
a little optimistic.
Yeah, optimistic.
And I have to say that a couple of the local towns that have transitioned out of the state police program into their own program, one recently and one a while ago, their chiefs are such a big help. I mean, you go into these guys and you ask them, just can I sit down with you for 10 minutes, and 2 hours later they're still telling me all kinds of things, and it's a great help. The other police departments are stepping up with great information for us.
Yeah.
So it's made it a little easier.
So we've mimicked a lot of what Ledyard did.
Correct.
Right, Ledyard did this about 2 years ago or so.
Yes.
They were on their second year at least. And of course, they built a new police station. We're not quite there yet. What is the next step? We're going to hire a chief. We're going to give notice and flick the switch one day and maybe have a celebration, I suppose, and that we are now an independent force. And then what happens?
Well, it's not quite that easy.
Yeah, right. I gave you a softball there, Dan.
Hiring the chief is the primary thing because he's going to have a badge number that's going to allow us to get our own town number and have our own police department within the state. We have to eventually get the police department accredited, which is going to take a couple of years. We have to make sure our communication system is up and running correctly before we transition off the state system. There's a lot of everything between evidence collection. I mean, there's so many different things that the police department needs to do that the state kind of handles for us now. So what we're working on as a commission, even though the chief himself is going to want to really have a lot of the say in that, we're basically lining up his ducks for him. We have reports on building issues that we need, on just, evidence collection, communications, procedures. I mean, our procedure book is essentially the state procedures, how we deal with a high-speed car chase. Well, it's actually how the state deals with it. So we have to come up with a new procedure, how we deal with it as the town, which isn't that hard. It's not like reinventing the wheel. But our procedure book is 238 pages, I think.
Yeah.
It's a lot going on. So there's a lot of work that the commission is doing right now ahead of the chief so that when he gets here, he can really hit the ground running and not have to collate all this and bring all this information together.
So I know this because I sit on the commission, but it's fair to report that as a commission, we're respecting whoever that chief is to be part of the decision making. Instead of going out right now and doing a policy and procedure manual and making all these decisions, we'd like the new chief to be in on that.
Exactly.
Since he or she is going to have to live with that.
But we're trying to just make it easier for them by kind of, I mean, some of the stuff to get off, say, the state procedures, it's just pretty basic, and we might as well just save some time. And the police department, the sergeants our sergeants are doing a ton of work helping out and just organizing everything. And so when this person gets hired, they're going to be able to sit down and say, okay, just this is the situation with communications, this is the situation with everything, and then just say, okay, let's do this, and then the decisions will be easier for them.
I hope, I'm glad you brought up the sergeants, because we wouldn't be here today talking about independent police if the sergeants had stepped up and been so professional. And I'm talking a year and a half ago. I'm first selectman. I'm getting emails and calls from the police going, hey, we're ready. We want to be independent, and we want you to help us. And we think it's the time is now. And we sat down. We had many meetings. Before I even put this what I call it, an ad hoc committee, which many of the same members of the police commission sit on now, but to look at it independently, a task force, if you will. And here we are with all the right answers and all the right numbers and money. And it should be pointed out that the governor is recommending that we pay even more for the resident state trooper program. If we had continued with the resident state trooper program next year, we'd be spending $30,000 more than the $212,000 we paid this year. So that price is going up as well, and for other towns that haven't switched.
And that's just the first step with the state. You know that's going to keep going up.
They can actually charge more than 100%.
And they can charge it retroactively.
Yeah, they have. Listen, they're in a world of hurt too, and I don't know how they get out of it, but that's their job. I do know that as a representative of the citizens and taxpayers of East Lyme, we're going to find the best way for all sorts of things, and one of them is public safety. And in this case, this is the right choice, going independent police. And the right choice is to put these 6 other fine gentlemen, including yourself, on the police commission doing great work. What are we going to do? We don't have a police station yet. Montville does, but of course they don't have an independent force. Ledyard built theirs along with their decision. We don't have one. What is the plan? Why don't we tell the public what the plan is?
Well, we are working on an agreement with the town of Waterford. There are certain things in our police building we just can't do. We can't house prisoners. Evidence storage is an issue, and a lot of other things.
And the breathalyzers and the fingerprints and all the...
Everything. Processing prisoners is an issue. Right now they go up to Montville. So what we're doing is we're coming up with an agreement with the town of Waterford to use their facility. And they have been incredibly generous and great with allowing us to do that. And we're working out a memorandum right now of the different procedures so that our people, when we make an arrest in East Lyme, can bring them to Waterford, process them through the Waterford system. The East Lyme evidence and everything will be separate from the Waterford evidence.
But chain of command.
But this way it saves us having to spend millions of dollars renovating our building to the point where we are actually a police department in the state's eyes. And there's certain things that we absolutely have to do in certain ways for the state of Connecticut to allow us to do this.
Right.
And basically, Waterford is saying, hey, we'll help you out, and we'll take care of some aspects of this for you.
They've been good. I call them our big brothers because they're there already.
Yes.
And big brothers kind of show the kid brothers how to do it and help them. A good big brother does. Others just beat on their little brothers or sisters. So our good big brother, Waterford, has been, thank you to Chief Mahoney and Dan Stewart. And they also, they can't be too generous either in that they have their constituency to be concerned about and watch over. So we're coming up with a very fair price. It isn't going to cost Waterford taxpayers any more money to bring our prisoners over. We pay our own way.
Right.
But it's an efficiency thing that we are going to be able to work out. And between the cost of a chief and the rental of the jails, if you will, we'll call it a rental, a lease of the jail space and services of Waterford, we're still under the number that we would be paying
to the state.
At the 212 number, not the new number.
Right.
Even.
It's revenue neutral for the town.
It really
initially.
is.
It really is.
Which is great.
The Waterford, Chief Mahoney's been awesome. That's going to help a lot. And he is very cognizant of the Waterford taxpayers. They're not going to be footing the bill for one penny of East Lyme's work over there. We're working it out as far as what, percentages of computer maintenance, even getting down into that level, that we will take care of since we're using the same computers and that kind of thing. So it's a very equitable situation, and we're paying our fair share, but it is still less expensive for the town initially than building it.
And at some point in the future, and it might be near future, we have to see what this economy does to our household budgets, our town budgets. We have to see what the state does. But at some point in the future, we're going to have to build a police station, and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We'll do this for a couple of years in the meantime, and then figure it out. We only have a minute left. I didn't want to get deep into the details of a police station. It's not happening right now. We're renting over in Waterford. We have gray cops already. We already have computers and communication equipment and a building to house.
It's really a smaller step than you would think to go independent. There's a lot involved in that little step, but it isn't that bad. It's not like we're jumping off a cliff.
It is in capable hands, too.
Well,
in capable hands,
to be seen,
Dan,
hopefully.
Dan, it's been a pleasure. And who would have thought you and I
know, right?
20 years later, be sitting in front of a camera and me in the driver's seat, because he's the dude, man. Dan Price has been my guest. He's chair of the East Lyme Police Commission, and thankful to all the police commission members out there, commissioners. And we will be independent before the end of our fiscal year for sure, maybe May 1st or so. Don't forget to vote on March 14th, 8 to 8 at the Community Center on the school renovation program. This is Mark Nickerson, East Lyme Issues and Answers. Till next time, we'll see you then.